If you want to see the looks I came up with for this first edition of the palette Roulette for 2020, and you want to help me select my palettes for round 2, then stick around. Hi there, that's right, we're talking palette roulette. Let's talk about the 5 palettes I used during this past month and a bit. And also, I want to talk about palettes that we can choose from for round 2. There's a little bit of a hybrid to it, but we're going to talk about it once I've done talking about this set of goodies right here. So let's talk about this one because that is the one that I'm wearing today. I ended up doing 2 looks with this one and it was a little bit less than I thought that I would use. But I think that what gave this palette short shrift is a couple of things. I got requests for looks for 2 of the other palettes in here and another series of shadows. I'll get to that in a bit. And this is also a no-brainer. It's a very, very easy palette for me to use. And so I thought, oh, I can just use it on a day where I don't really have the brain power or the time to come up with a new look or whatever. And I just ended up using other palettes over and over again. But it is a very, very pretty palette, and I love every single one of the colors in here. Today, I am pretty much sporting all of this row here. I'm using these 2 and this one. And I also used marron to deepen up the outer crease, center to outer crease. Really, really enjoy this palette. I was going to use Topless as my brow bone highlighter, but I ended up using Venus from the Naked Basics palette from Urban Decay. The other look that I did, and I think I have a picture of it, I will put it on the screen. I ended up using these guys here. So I started off with Nini up here just to set my primer, and I ended up using Marron and I don't know if it's Mecca or Mecha, so using these 2, and I ended up using Ellie here on the inner to center lid. So darker colors to deepen up the look, this one to give me quite a punch on the inner to center lid, and this is a beautiful color for me to set my primer and get a look started. So I really enjoyed the look, and I did use pretty sure I used Halo as my brow bone highlight, but that is what I was drawn to. And I would have definitely used this color. It's my favorite one in the palette. But I'm using Acid Rain from Urban Decay right now, and it's very similar, and I can only use so much Chartreuse in a month. I mean, at one point I like variety, and even though I love that kind of a color, I was using a similar color already. So I thought that was enough for my taste. And I have to say, these deeper colors, so Marron and what's it called, Mecha, and the black one, Beauty, Black Beauty, very cute. These 3 act as very good liners. I have no problem with it whatsoever. It's too bad that Ciaté and Chloe Morello didn't do a 3rd collab, because I would have been all over it. I liked the first one. I do like this one better than the first one because it has more color. But yeah, I would have been really, really pleased to see them collaborate again, and maybe they will in the future. Who knows? Now let's talk about the couple of things that derailed me using a bunch of the the products that I was planning on using. I still use them all, but just not as many times as I would have liked, but it's for a really good reason. I had a bunch of requests this past month, which I like the challenge of helping people out using color, and this was one of the 2 challenges that I had. So I had a request, and I'll put the name right here. I had a request to use colors from Clionadh Cosmetics, and this, apart from the mattes, sorry, there's a garbage truck outside, so you may be hearing some noise. Apart from the mattes, all of these were colors in her collection, and I started using the colors and making, I don't know how many looks I did total, 3 or 4, just to help people out with using Clionadh Cosmetic shadows. I think that the Clionadh formula, it's almost, my complaint is it's almost too easy to do a look, you don't feel like you can take credit for the compliments that you get. It's in a colored Raine palette, but this was just a subset. I have way more Clionadh, but like I said, this was just a subset that was matching whatever I had in overlap with the other collection. And I really enjoyed doing looks and helping people out. And I got a lot of good feedback. Thank you so much, especially when I'm doing looks or videos for requests. It's really, really helpful to get your feedback, to know that you do want to see these videos. They take a lot of time and planning, and it's nice to put a video out there that's not something that was on my roster, a program of videos to do, and it ended up helping people. So it doesn't bother me to have displaced a few things when it's a video that folks find useful and helpful. So speaking of, a couple more palettes that are in that boat, but I had announced them as such when I announced the 5 palettes I was going to work with. And these are the Lancome Holiday palettes. This one is the Glam palette, and it is the cool toned version. And I love both to pieces, so I'm good with both of them. And this is the glow version, which is supposed to be the warm version. And Lancome hit it so far out of the park with these 10 Shadow 2 Blush palettes. I don't have a preference. I love both pretty much equally. The formula is amazing, and I cannot wait to see what Lancome comes out with for Holiday 2020, because if it's anything like this, it is so worth the money. You get the skincare, you get this. If you are an eyeshadow buff, eyeshadow enthusiast, this formula is really, really good. It is heads and shoulders above the Estee Lauder, and definitely above the Elizabeth Arden sets that came out this year. It's really, really good. And the packaging is really nice. Big mirror, the magnetized top, the finish on the front and back. I mean, it looks really good. I also had a request, but through this palette, Roulette, to do some looks with the Warrior 3 palette from Juvia's Place. I love this palette. I think it's so pretty. I am not a huge fan of blues, but it is doing a very good job of changing my mind, and this is my favorite so far. So this is my favorite. And then this one is a neat transformer shade. And I made a mistake with this one, thinking it was a transformer shade, and no. I'll put this one up first, and then the look with this one second. Both of those looks do use Candace up here, which is turning out to be my favorite color in this palette. I also did a look where I added Kahina as just a standalone punch of color on the inner to center lid, and it looks more of a burgundy than it is. It's more of a pink, actually, when you put it on the lid. I guess it depends how much intensity you use, but I used most of the colors in here. I mean, I think that the only ones I didn't use are these two and this one. I'm really pleased with this palette. I do look forward to playing with it some more. It's a solid palette. It's not as intimidating as it may look, especially the first look. If you take a look at the first look, I think that most of us can replicate it and do a very colorful look, but that's still kind of soft at the same time. So yeah, I was pretty sure I was going to really enjoy this palette when I got it, and this time with it has definitely confirmed that I really do quite like it. And I'm probably going to end up doing another look, but with the yellow and purple in this palette. Probably yellow on inner to center lid, and then purple in the crease and outer lid. And I think it's going to look fantastic. Now for another indie brand, we also had the Colored Raine Queen of Hearts. And this was a big deal to me because it's a palette that I sent to Steph Lyons in our exchange. I will have that link below of our exchange of makeup. that we did and finally filmed early this year, but we were working on this for half of last year. It was a long project. Anyway, so this is what the palette looks like, and it is the flagship of Colored Raine, and there's a reason. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I used a few colors in here, mostly Noble Woman and Crown right here. And I did a nice gradient look with these two shadows, and I think I used Duchess. No, Royal Prerogative? Yeah, I think it was Royal Prerogative, and that if I wanted to deepen, I was going to go into Duchess. But anyway, I really enjoyed it, and my default really would have been to go into Queen Mother. I really enjoy that shade. I like Ladyship. I really enjoy Royal Highness, but I didn't want to use colors that I had in here that I had in the Warrior 3 or in the Chloe Morello palette. So I was trying to use other colors as well, and to try to do a look that might be a little bit unexpected, because when you layer Noble Woman or Crown over Noble Woman, you can do a three-color look, and I wanted to show that on camera. So yeah, I think that this is a no-brainer palette. It is the flagship for Colored Raine, and I'm really happy to have been able to help a couple of people so far, both in Ireland, by the way, discover this palette. Yeah, I highly recommend. I think it makes a terrific gift for just about anybody, and they really knocked it out of the park with this color story, for sure. Okay, so now that we've talked about the 5 palettes and the Clionadh Cosmetics shadows that hijacked some of my time that would have normally gone to palette roulette, but like I said, it was for a good cause. I wanted to talk about the palettes that I am going to ask you to choose from for this round, and so let's get right into it. If you don't want to choose from one of the 10 palettes, cast your vote, I should say, for one of the 10 palettes that I'm going to show you, eyeshadow palettes, and one of the 5 face palettes that I'm going to show you as well, you can pick a number from 1 to 150. 1 to 150. If it is one of the palettes that's already been chosen, or a palette that is in this set of 10 and 5, I am going to choose the next one down the list for you, okay? So if you want to be surprised, you don't want to know what it is that I might be using, please select a random number between 1 and 150. And if you want to know and you just want to help me pare down the list of palettes, then I am about to show you 10 I was going to say face palettes, 10 eyeshadow palettes and 5 face palettes. So let's get to it right away. The first one, I am starting to feel spring vibes, and I've been looking at a lot of pastel eyeshadows online and whatnot, and so I want to bring up this one. Pastel Goth. I think we're getting over the whole KVD drama, so I'm ready to bring this one out of the crypt, so to speak. And it is a beautiful pastel colored palette, and I really want to play with it. That purple is speaking to me, and I want the Easter vibes, even though it's a little early to talk Easter. And with that, I want to pair it with a single Alchemist highlighter, what's it called? Transformer shade called, let's open it up because I can't see a name on this packaging. What does it say? It just says Alchemist Holographic Transformer for Face and Eye. And there's not really a name. Oh, teal. It's the Aquamarine. This is what it looks like. So it looks white, but it does have a teal look too. It doesn't even show. I can see it in real life. I just don't think it looks like much on camera. But I was just thinking it could punch up a look with this. And they're both discontinued products, but they are in my collection, and I do want to make some use out of it. And like I said, I think that we can start to breathe again over the whole KVD thing, and so I would like to start showcasing some of the products that I have from that line in these palette roulettes and have some fun because I have them and I really want to use them. Next one I have is one that I've featured on this channel. I will have the links to all of the videos for any of these palettes in the description box if you want to see more videos on them, if you're trying to make up your mind. And this is what it looks like, and it is a set of two very beautiful shifting colors at the top and two metallics on the bottom. And it is one of the quads of the Linda Hallberg line, or Hallberg, depending how you say her name. And I am looking forward to getting into it. I have not touched this one yet, so this is very new to my collection, and would love to start doing some looks and some reviews with it. Another new palette to my collection, I have a few new ones in here. I did do a video on this one already, and it is, speaking of colored rain, because I was gushing over the Queen of Hearts, this is another really nice one, and is the Power palette from the Colored Rain collection. And by the way, they're coming back out with the Safari palette for a limited time, and I can tell you I'm going to be grabbing it because I really thought it was going to be a permanent part of their collection, and when it disappeared I went, I didn't have a chance to get it. But apparently they're coming back out with it, and it's in the same format. I really, really like it. I did do a swatches video with these colors, and I think my thoughts as I'm swatching speak for themselves for this one, and I'm looking forward to digging into it. The next one is one that I received from Steph Lyons, and it is the Ace Beauté Classic Paradise palette. And what really intrigues me about this one is it got smushed. I don't know how that happened. The corner's a little bit messed up now. I have no idea how that happened. Anyway, it is the yellows in this palette that really get me. Well, yellows and reds, I like both. So it is definitely a palette for me. And all of the colors, I'm in a prairie part of Canada, so the fact that it is all about the harvest and farming and all that good stuff makes me very, very happy with names like sunflower, rye, earth, harvest, hay, soil. Really pleased with that. So the yellows and reds / burgundies are the ones that I'm really excited about in this palette. So if you're interested in it, let me know. Next is an oldie but a goodie. I really enjoy this clay play from Tarte, and it's the original clay play. I'm going to have to do this because it would blind you otherwise. It's still blinding you, but there are 3 face powders and then three trios really for eyeshadow. It is a fantastic base makeup palette, and I would like to get more use out of it. It works so well every single time, and it could be the base for another palette to finish it up, but it smells divine. I just want to get more use out of it, so let me know if you are interested in some looks with that original. This is not the reformulated, this is the original. The new one has a blush in it. Yep, so moving on. Now, because of it's not Wicked, what's it called? I was going to say Wicked, it's Wired. The Wired palette from Urban Decay is giving me all sorts of feels to bring this palette back out. I did buy it at the very, very end of when Urban Decay had this palette, and I am really interested in playing with these colors. They are far less intimidating to me than they used to be, and I would definitely get into it as well. A number of the colors are overlaps with the Wired palette, and so if you're wondering about how to use these types of colors, I'd be happy to do a few looks with it. And it's also giving me some spring vibes, kind of like the Pastel Goth. So let me know what you think of this one, if you would select it or not. So I know it's hard, but just give me one selection. Maybe you can give me a runner-up if you're worried I won't pick the one that you asked for. Now this is a new palette to my collection, and it's one that I talked about when I did the NYX Machinist and Ignite focus, and it is the Steam palette from NYX, and it's the third and last one in the collection. And initially I was not, here's the box, I was not going to get this palette, and I started really looking at it, and my husband works in steam. It's part of his job, boilers and that kind of thing. And it just kept making me think of him, and I decided to get it. Now, I don't know if the colors are coming through. Okay, there we go. I think I can make some decent use out of it, and it's different enough from the other two from NYX that I'm kind of curious about it. So I ended up picking it up. It was on stupid low clearance, and I had been interested in it no matter what because of how much the palette made me think of him every time that I saw it. So I would like to use it eventually. It may not be right now because it's not a palette that's widely available anymore. It was on its way out some time ago. But if you're curious to see more cool toned looks from me, then the Steam palette would definitely allow me to do that pretty easily. So let me know what you think of that. Now the next three are definitely colorful, and I have quite a few colorful looks or colorful palettes so far in what I've shown you. So let's take a look at this one, and this is, okay, I have to eat some crow, which I find really funny because I'm watching Game of Thrones right now with my husband, and but I'm eating crow with this palette. I did not think I was going to get it. And I didn't think I was going to get it because I don't really like the style of the influencer who created this palette. A lot of stuff that she does I don't appreciate, so I don't like to watch her. And the thing is though, the color story of this palette is just stinking awesome. And so I really did a little bit of thinking about it. I love the packaging, the iridescence of it. I really did a little bit of soul searching, eyeshadow palette soul searching, and decided that the color story was probably the color story that I was the most excited from ABH after Subculture. And this one did interest me right from the get-go. And I kept saying, but I don't want to keep being reminded about some behaviors associated with the name. And I just at one point decided that it would bring me more joy, likely, more joy than anything that really turned me off from the palette. So I decided to get it, and I have to give Jackie Aina credit. The color story is really pretty amazing. Now there are a bunch of colors that I'm sure I could duplicate in my collection, but the way she put them together, she did a really good job, and I like how many mattes there are. I like the fact that she put in a few duochromes. She did a good job. She did a good job, and when it was available on sale, when was it? March, early March? No, not March, sorry, early February. I went for it. I went for it, and I'm actually pretty happy, and so far not regretting it. So if you are curious to see some colorful looks, because it's a pretty colorful palette, with this palette, let me know. It's the same. I don't know why I repeat it for every palette, because I keep saying let me know. But let me know if that is your palette of choice out of the 10 I'm showing you. Two more eyeshadow palettes to go. This next one is the Urban Decay Born to Run. I know this palette's been out for a while, but it's fairly new to my collection. I did show it some time ago, but I have not touched it. I've really been trying to go deep on each palette that I start using, and so this one has been waiting in the wings as I've been playing with that Acid Rain single recently. But I am really curious to get into this palette. I know that I like all of the colors. It does have some feels of the Jackie Aina palette, actually, but I know the formula is so different between Urban Decay and Anastasia Beverly Hills that I'm quite sure that this is going to be a significantly different experience. And it has quite a few. I mean, 21 shadows in here is a lot. And I am convinced that they did a good job as far as this being a good palette. If you want to bring one palette with you somewhere, one and done. I think they did a good job, and I'm looking forward to trying it out with that in mind. Okay, here is the last palette out of the 10 to choose from, and this is the Certifeye, the Affinity palette. And this is a palette, I did a video on it already, and I called it the Jaclyn Hill No. 2 Substitute because only the essential colors are in here, all the fillers taken out pretty much. And it's very much the same color story, and it came out a year and a half ago. So well before the Jaclyn Hill No. 2 palette came out. And or what she calls No. 7, if you count, it's technically her 7th palette. I love the color story. I was so excited when I saw this was one of the palettes that Steph sent me in our exchange. It's beautiful. I swatched it. I really think the pigmentation in this set of colors is fantastic, and I am looking forward to digging into it. So let me know if this one hits the mark for you. So those were the 10 palettes. Before I move on to face palettes, I'm just going to go over them one more time. Pastel Goth, Color Rain Power Palette, Linda Hallberg Enchanted Mysteries, Certifeye, you just saw, Urban Decay Born to Run, Jackie Aina ABH, that was blingy, the Steam Palette by NYX, Urban Decay's Electric Palette, the Clay Play by Tarte, and the Ace Beauté Classical Paradise. So those are the 10 eyeshadow palettes, and I have 5 face palettes to choose from. I'll make these quick. So the first one is the Infinity palette by Linda Hallberg. That's the original one. So I might be able to use that one just as a face palette, though it's a face and eye, whatever you want palette. This one as well, I did swatch on this channel, and it is the Fumi Juvia's Place collab, and it is an eye and cheek palette, and I really think it's a beautiful combination of colors, and that can be blushes, highlighters, and eyeshadow colors, and it's a beautiful package. I like the fact that it's 6 pans. It's very small and reasonable to use. I also took out the Urban Decay Jean-Michel Basquiat Quad that has a highlighter, 2 blushes, and a bronzer. A highlighter palette that I've never used. It became available, and I thought, I'll just grab it and see what happens. And I feel like I can use it now, so that's good. And I got it for a song. It was so cheap. Metal Crush, and I don't know if it has a plastic in it. Let's see here. Nope. Okay, and it has 3 highlighters in it, and I think I would use it more as inner corner highlight for the eye, but who knows. And that's what those look like. And as a 5th palette, I'm going to talk about the NARS, what's this again? NARS Hot Tryst from a couple of holiday seasons ago, and here are the colors for that one. Now I think I had this one in not that long ago, but it's calling to me again. So that's one of the 5. So let's go over the face palette options. The, again, NARS Tryst, the Metal Crush highlighter by I'm not going to say Kat Von D, KVD Beauty, or whatever they're called now. Jean-Michel Basquiat Quad, the Fumi and Juvia's Place 6-pan eye and face palette, and the Linda Hallberg Infinity palette, the light to medium color scheme, or the OG, whichever one you want to call it. So that was a lot to talk about. Let me know. Again, I'm going to put the range right here, 1 to 150 for eyeshadow palettes. Let me know if you want to select instead from one of the 10 I showed you and one of the 5 of the face palettes I showed you as well. I don't have any specialty products to offer up this month. I just have enough going on the go. I don't want to add to the complexity of my upcoming month, but I really, really appreciate it when you make your selections, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say, what your preferences would be. And I will be back with your selections within 3 to 5 days, so it's not going to be open for very long. I will leave a pinned comment under this video once the selection window has closed, but it will be from the time this video is published to usually within 3 to 5 days I close it off. Thank you so much for number one, in advance selecting something, and then number two, for getting through this far in the video. I appreciate it every single time. I look forward to these palette roulette videos very, very much, and I hope you do too. And I look forward to your selections. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.